August 1914. The world holds its breath as the Great War ignites across Europe. On the Western Front, the German war machine carves through Belgium, pushing relentlessly towards Paris. The Schlieffen Plan, Germany's grand strategy for a swift victory, appears to be unfolding with terrifying precision. But hundreds of miles to the east, another storm is gathering. Two colossal Russian armies, the first and the second, surge into the German province of East Prussia. This is the Russian steamroller the Allies have been counting on. Commanded by General Paul von Rennenkampf and General Alexander Samsonov, their mission is clear: crush the German defenses, divert troops from the west, and bring the Kaiser to his knees. Defending this vast, sparsely populated territory is Germany's 8th Army, led by the anxious General Maximilian von Prittwitz. Outnumbered and facing a two-pronged invasion, Prittwitz panics. He calls Berlin, reporting that he may have to abandon East Prussia entirely. For the German High Command, this is an unthinkable disaster. The eastern flank is on the verge of collapse. In this moment of crisis, Berlin acts decisively. Prittwitz is fired. To replace him, they pull a stern 66-year-old general out of retirement, Paul von Hindenburg. His new chief of staff is the aggressive and brilliant Erich Ludendorff, fresh from a victory at Liège. This new duo, Hindenburg the stoic figurehead and Ludendorff the operational mastermind, is dispatched eastward with a single, desperate order: save East Prussia, whatever the cost. As they race towards the front, a critical advantage falls into their laps. The advancing Russian armies are struggling. Their supply lines are stretched thin over difficult terrain, but worse, their commanders, Rennenkampf and Samsonov, share a deep personal animosity. They communicate poorly, if at all. In an astonishing blunder, Russian radio operators transmit their operational plans openly, without encryption. In the German headquarters, intelligence officers listen intently, piecing together a complete picture of the enemy's intentions. They know Samsonov's Second Army is moving south of the Masurian Lakes, while Rennenkampf's First Army is positioned far to the north. The two forces are dangerously separated. Ludendorff, along with his gifted staff officer Max Hoffmann, spots a golden opportunity. The plan they devise is audacious, a high-stakes gamble that could either save Germany or doom it. They will use a small screening force to keep Rennenkampf occupied in the north, betting that his caution and his dislike for Samsonov will prevent him from moving south to help. Meanwhile, they will use Germany-AS's superior railway network to rapidly move the bulk of the 8th Army south. Their objective: to fall upon Samsonov's isolated Second Army and annihilate it before Rennenkampf can react. It is a plan of encirclement, deception, and ruthless speed. The trap is being set. By August 23rd, General Samsonov's Second Army is pushing deeper into German territory. His soldiers are exhausted and hungry, their advance slowed by the dense forests and marshy lake country of East Prussia. Samsonov is confident, believing the Germans are in full retreat. He is unaware that he is marching directly into a carefully prepared killing ground. German cavalry scouts shadow his every move, reporting his army's positions, strength, and direction. The German commanders play their part perfectly. They conduct a series of tactical withdrawals, giving the impression of a disorganized retreat. This feigned weakness lures Samsonov even further forward, stretching his formations thin and extending his lines of communication to the breaking point. The Russian general, blind to the true German dispositions, radios his superiors to report his triumphant advance. Then, on August 26th, the trap is sprung. The German Eckert Corps, having been rapidly transported by train, smashes into Samsonov's left flank near the town of Uzdau. The attack is sudden and overwhelming. Simultaneously, another German corps strikes his right flank from the north. The jaws of the German pincer begin to close. The fighting is brutal. Russian divisions, caught completely by surprise, struggled to form defensive lines. Communication breaks down. Orders from Samsonov's headquarters never reach the frontline units. Men who thought they were pursuing a beaten enemy now find themselves fighting for their lives against a superior, well-coordinated force. The Russian left wing collapses, opening a gaping hole in their front. Panic begins to ripple through the ranks. Over the next 48 hours, the situation for the Russian Second Army devolves from a crisis into a catastrophe. The German encirclement tightens relentlessly. German artillery, positioned on high ground, rains a storm of shells down on the trapped Russian columns. The roads become clogged with a chaotic mass of men, horses, and wagons, all trying to flee eastward. But there is no escape. Entire Russian corps are isolated, surrounded, and forced to surrender. The Germans methodically break down pocket after pocket of resistance. For the Russian soldiers, trapped in the dense, dark woods, it is a living nightmare. They are without food, without ammunition, and without hope. General Samsonov, finally realizing the full extent of the disaster, is in despair. He rides among his disintegrating units, trying desperately to rally them for a breakout. But it's too late. The Iron Ring is complete. On the night of August 29th, Samsonov and his staff find themselves wandering through the forest, hunted by German patrols. Overwhelmed by the loss of his army and the shame of defeat, he turns to his aides and says, "The Tsar trusted me. How can I face him after such a disaster?" He then walks away into the darkness. A single gunshot echoes through the woods. General Alexander Samsonov had taken his own life rather than face capture. By August 30th, the battle is over. The Russian Second Army has ceased to exist as a fighting force. The scale of the victory stuns the Germans themselves. The battlefield is a ghastly landscape of abandoned equipment, dead horses, and fallen men. The results are staggering and speak to the totality of the German triumph. Over 90,000 Russian soldiers are taken prisoner. Another 50,000 are killed or wounded. Only a few thousand men from the Second Army's Central Corps managed to escape the encirclement. An entire Russian army has been wiped off the map in less than a week. In a calculated move of historical propaganda, the Germans named the victory the Battle of Tannenberg. This name deliberately evokes a battle from 1410, where Teutonic Knights were defeated by Polish-Lithuanian forces in the same area. This new Tannenberg was presented as Germany's revenge, centuries in the making. For Germany, Tannenberg is a shot of pure adrenaline. In the uncertain opening weeks of the war, it provides a spectacular victory that boosts national morale to euphoric heights. Hindenburg and Ludendorff are instantly hailed as national heroes. Their images are everywhere, symbols of German military genius and invincibility. This victory solidifies their power and influence, a partnership that would effectively rule Germany for the latter half of the war. For Russia, Tannenberg is a national humiliation of the highest order. The loss of the Second Army cripples their entire offensive plan on the Eastern Front. It exposes deep, systemic flaws in the Tsarist military machine, incompetent leadership, abysmal logistics, and a fatal lack of modern communication. While the Russian army would recover and continue to fight for 3 more years, the shock of Tannenberg never truly faded. It sowed seeds of doubt and disillusionment that would eventually contribute to the collapse of the Tsar's regime and the Russian Revolution. The Battle of Tannenberg was more than just a brilliant military victory. It was a stark demonstration of how the nature of war had changed. It was a battle won not just by courage but by railway timetables, radio intercepts, and precise strategic planning. It was a grim foreshadowing of the industrial-scale slaughter that would define the First World War. East Prussia had been saved for Germany, but for Russia and for the world, the long and bloody tragedy of the Great War had only just begun. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this dive into history interesting, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel for more stories from the past. We'll see you in the next one.